evaluate the expression a minus c over b minus d for the given values of a, b, c, and d. So we're going to have to do this twice. We're given some different values, and negative signs are showing up in different places. So we're going to want to be very careful in our substitution step to be sure that we get negative signs in the right places. So remember, here we're being asked to evaluate. Evaluate tells us to do two things. First, it tells us to substitute. So to substitute in the values for the variables, and then we're going to simplify. So let's take a look at our first problem. We have different values for a, b, c, and d. And so we're going to start off with this original expression, and I'm going to take each of the variables and I'm going to put them in their own little set of parentheses. And then as I rewrite the problem in my substitution step, I'm going to carefully put the values in the place of the variables, but still inside the parentheses. So for a equals 3, we see a is the first one, so a equals 3. So I'm going to substitute in the 3 for the a, and then notice there was a minus sign, so we're going to put in the minus, and from that we're going to subtract c. So we have to come all the way over here to find out what c is. C is negative 9, and we can see why those parentheses are really helpful there when I'm subtracting that negative. In my denominator, I have b. The value that we were given for b is negative 4. And then notice that subtraction sign there, so we want to be sure that that subtraction sign from the original problem comes down, and we're going to subtract d, and our value for d is 4. And so it's still inside those parentheses, the d is gone, and now it's been replaced by a 4. Now we can go ahead and do the operations in the numerator, and then separately the ones in the denominator, because remember that this fraction bar works as a grouping mechanism, just like a parenthesis does. So here we have 3 minus a negative 9. Well, when we subtract a negative, remember that that's the same thing as adding. So 3 plus 9 is going to give me 12. And in my denominator, I have negative 4 minus 4. Well, that's like saying negative 4 plus a negative 4, which would give me negative 8. So we've simplified the numerator and the denominator, but now we need to be sure that our final answer here is simplified. We have a positive over a negative. Positive over a negative we know is going to bring the negative sign out front, because positive divided by a negative is a negative. Now 12 over 8, that fraction is going to simplify. Looking for the greatest common factor of 12 and 8, the greatest common factor is 4. So I'm going to rewrite 12 as 4 times 3, and I'm going to rewrite 8 as 4 times 2. 4 over 4 equals 1, so those guys are going to cancel out, and I'm just left with negative 3 over 2. And notice how I have that negative sign out front for my final fractional answer. If your final answer is a negative fraction, be sure the negative is out front. Let's rework this problem now for our different values of a, b, c, and d. So we're going to still use what we've got up here. We're substituting in the value negative 2 now for a, and from that we were going to subtract the c value, and now our c value is 4. You can see that our problem is kind of shaking out a little differently. All of that's going to be divided by the b value. This time my b value is 6. And from that 6, I'm going to be subtracting the d value. And in this case, the d value is negative 6. And now we can go ahead, work the numerator. Negative 2 minus 4 equals negative 6. And in my denominator, 6 minus a negative 6, subtracting the negative, is the same as adding. That gives me 12. Now simplifying the fraction, negative divided by a positive is a negative. 6 is 6 times 1, and 12 is 6 times 2. The common factor of 6 is going to cancel out, and my final answer is negative 1 over 2.